sponsored these particular events.
Yes, thank you, Jellican, and I am glad that again I am here. And just let me share with the participants is that some of these sessions, it is 1 hour, yes, but coming up with this 1 hour session sometimes prove to be difficult. When a speaker that was supposed to come in says that I'm not able to come in today until next time. So we sometimes find ourselves redoing. So some of us who might be seeing me here is that I've come is that I can actually be able to share what I have, but I was not supposed to be here today, actually. Jellican, you can hear me, right?
Because loud and clear, loud and clear.
Yeah, I've changed my mic. So I was saying that I wasn't supposed to be here today. There was someone else who was supposed to come in, but due to other circumstances that always comes within our nature of our work, then some of our people say that we are not able to attend. So then we discussed with Jellican and say, okay, the tech talk is your thing, and you have things that you can talk about. So we said that can we have HR reports with strategic HR metrics? So today I'll show you something that maybe you do it if you are doing reports in your company. You can say yes, so that we also know how many of us do reports, and that if this session will actually be helping. So either both, and we'll also be sharing amongst ourselves. So if you're doing reports in your company, just say yes, then you'll be able to see. I think Jellican have introduced me and also said that I used to own a restaurant. I also had dreams to be a billionaire when I was young. I never knew I was going to be employed, but then things didn't go as I planned. But it was a good learning for me because I didn't attend my attachment. I did my attachment actually in my restaurant. So I was able to convince my lecturer that I was doing a business and I can be assessed in my own business. And that's how I did my attachment. So I did go for attachment during my campus days. So it was also a good experience for me. I learned 1, 2, 3 things. I had employees. It was a good one. So amongst the things, I do HR as a generalist and specializing currently on HR systems and HR analytics. Though I can do performance management properly well and L&D, getting learning and development right. So I also do that more often. And also I do research, and I'm launching a new research very soon. So just stay tuned. We say that we are going to do data-driven HR in our practice. So for our partners, I will just take us through them again. As we have always known that we have WorkPay HR system that you can actually look into, and WorkPay work as less as if you're having 5 employees. And if you're having less than 5 employees actually, or you're having 5 and less, we can give you a free system to use. So you can talk to me on the side. We can see how to help you set up for 5 employees and use the system. Above that, you can also get the system at a friendly rate. Then we are having HR Mates as a HR system also that also helps with the HR systems and HR work that you do currently. All these systems will help you do your HR work without a lot of paperwork. And remember that we even did the other day, we were looking at Excel and how to use pivot table. And you saw how easy it is for you to come up with a dashboard very fast within a pivot table that you don't need to sweat about it. And I think that now we have HR metrics and analytics, which is the app that we'll be looking at today, just to help us know in terms of metrics that we have. So the app is built on, I don't know whether you know that we have got ISO standards on HR metrics and reporting. If you didn't know, there's an ISO 3414 of 2018 that talks about HR metrics analytics. So it should be actually be done and provides a framework. So if you've not learned about the same, maybe one day I'll come up again and we share on that ISO platform to learn about the ISO and what standards are there. Because currently we don't even have data that we can refer to. So it's good for us to understand. So the app was built in that line. You have the ISO. So we are having Excel masterclass for you who would wish to attend. And if you'd want to attend, then you can reach out to us. We'll be sharing the details more. People have already registered, a few of us, which will be learning on Excel and how it makes your work easier. Actually, since 2020, okay, not 2020, but I started by Excel, but it wasn't paying much. But when I focused on it, then it has been paying my bills. I want to say so, because what I do currently is more majorly on Excel and HR systems. So that's where I spend most of my time on Excel and HR systems. So, and even before that, everything that we do actually require this skill. So you can get the skill at a cheaper price or an affordable, and not cheaper because Kenya is now difficult, at an affordable price. Yeah. So you can reach out to us. We'll be sharing more details for you. Now, down to our topic of today. When you talk about metrics, you can never miss to talk about analytics, because metrics is the gateway to analytics. We start from metrics, and actually metrics is part of analytics, and there's a thin line. It's like asking yourself, between an egg and a hen, which one came first, an egg or a hen? So sometimes when you're doing metrics, it's difficult to separate whether you are going to discuss metrics or are going to discuss analytics, but we always find a way of bringing the two together so that you better understand. So we know that metrics are just used of, they are units of measure. So we want to measure the magnitude, the outcome, the quality, the quantity. Yeah. So metrics will help us. And we are saying that in HR, for us to do metrics in HR, we are looking at how are we going to invest in people? Yeah. How are we going to invest in people? And what is the business going to get from our investments? Because any change in Nelson's mood affects his productivity. Yeah. Any change in Nelson's skills affects his productivity. Any change in family relationships or relationships in the company or with my supervisor affects my productivity. And that's what we're looking at. So how do we improve? How do we invest in people? Yeah. So, and we've said that now, when we look at metrics, it is in three folds. You are either talking about the inputs or the outputs. That is the first categorization of metrics, either talking about the inputs or the outputs. So what were you giving in? Yeah. And what is it coming out? Or sometimes we talk about metrics in terms of quality, quantity, or outcome. So quality here is that you did interviews. So how many of them are fit for employment? Quantity, you did an advert, 30 people came in, but you expected you to have 100. Like now I have 65 participants. That is now quantity. 65 participants are listening to us, or we are together 65 participants. Yeah. So quality would be, after this session, if you ask you, how was the session? How was Nelson's voice? Tonal variation. The explanation of the concept. Did you understand the concept? Then the outcome will be after some 2 months, or even after your first report from now. Were you able to do a HR report with some few metrics in it or not? So that one becomes the outcome. So again, you can look at metrics in that kind of a line. So now we are saying that I want to be attentive because I only have 3 slides actually. And in those slides will be complete. We will also go to check the app that I developed so that we can look into it and see how can it help you do your mathematics very fast. And then we wrap up the session. So now, when you are doing a HR report, then there are things that you need to look into. So we are having a HR report as a function of HR analytics. That's why we're talking about analytics, and sometimes metrics becomes one of the same thing. So we always talk about 4 steps of analytics. It can either be descriptive, it can either be diagnostic, predictive, or prescriptive. So we've talked about that it can either be descriptive, sorry for that, which means that you are describing diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. So when you use a chart like I've done here, a chart, hope you can see my chart.
Yeah, we can see.
Yes. So the chart here talks about staff, the changes in staff establishment, meaning the number of your staff. So for 2021, we had 100 employees. So we had 18 people joining, 15 people leaving. So our closing number for the year was 103, meaning 100 plus 18 minus 15 gives us 103. So this 103 and whatever is all here, it talks about turnover rate, which is at 14.7%. Now, what we have done in this chart alone, the way it is descriptive. We're describing what has taken place. Remember, everybody knows about that. So it's good to tell them again, to remind them that we are having 100 people came in, 18 were the new guys, 15 left, and we are having at 103. We are just describing what has taken place. And descriptive metrics always just give a story of what happened, and it helps you build your story. Yeah. So meaning that when you look at the metrics here, they are direct in that 18 new joiners as a metric, 15 exits, 103 headcount at the end of the year. Those are metrics, but they are very descriptive in nature. Whatever happened previously. But then what happened yesterday builds a future for tomorrow. I would want to quote my my role model. I would say, so my dad always say that, do you want today to suffer so that tomorrow you can live a better life? And that one was always used when you are eating too much when you're supposed to be reading. So he would ask you that. So now we want to build the previous to now the current or even to the future. So once you've done your descriptions, then some things gets into you so that you want to describe something. You want to now go deeper into it. And when you start going deeper, then you want to do what is called diagnostic. And when you are doing diagnostics, then the metrics that now come out, you now try to explain descriptive analytics now in terms of, it always come out in terms of qualitative. Diagnostic will always give you some of the metrics that are just qualitative, meaning they're just quality. You're just talking about them. Yeah, you cannot, it is difficult to attach figures into them at some point unless you really have to attach figures into them. So we for this example here, I decided to use turnover rate. I could have used those who came in. I could have used the people who are there, or the people who are there in the headcount at January or December, but I chose to use turnover rate because normally it is always a key metric. It is a strategic metric to use turnover rate, but you can also use the new joiners will form part of the recruitment or talent acquisition as part of your discussion in your report. So recruitment and talent acquisition metrics are also more of a strategic, in that if you're looking at acquisition, you want to look at those who accepted your offer, the quality of their assessments, and their engagement in that probation period or their confirmation. Those ones will give you strategic kind of metrics to be used. So if we picked on turnover rate, so I want to give reasons why people left. And this is the key thing. This is where now you start now, because now start now doing analytics, because now you go deep and start researching that pay rise needs was one of the needs of our employees. And averagely, everyone who left our company because of pay rise, they were getting 30% more, 30% more. Now, your company is giving people 7% increment or 10% or 8% or 12% increment. But when they change jobs, they get 30% increment. It sends a message, diagnostic analytics. And you're trying to describe we're now giving, adding more meat to our turnover rate, which is just a descriptive. We did some retrenchment for some 2, 3, 4 positions. There were supervisor issues. So maybe supervisor was too harsh, did this and that. So people could not stay. They say people leave, bad managers, not the company. There was a theft issues in the company. So now we are diagnosing. We have diagnosed and know the problem. You need to know the problem so that you can now start doing your calculations. And now, because you want to predict the future, you will do some few calculations. So we are saying that we're projecting that the turnover rate reduced by 4% to 10.7%. So we are at 14.7. So if we reduce it by 4%, we'll get 10.7. So as a HR, you've done, as a HR analyst or as a HR who does his thing, I would not want to call you an analyst, maybe you're not an analyst, but within the HR fraternity, you know that if you do what you need to do, then you can foresee that the trend, the way it's going for 2023, or 2022, for this data here, you may reduce the turnover rate by 4%. Maybe you have taken out everybody that was stealing, or the bigger chunk of those who left were retrenchment. So you see that this year we won't do retrenchment. So everybody who left under retrenchment or layoff will not have that kind of another exit this year. So that one can help us reduce the turnover rate. So now, because you always give KPIs and you always give initiatives of what are you going to do next? Because that is now the key thing that the CEOs want to listen to, the fellow managers want to listen to it, employees want to know what are you going to do. Yeah. Now that you've asked people why they left, you've asked me why my friend left, and I've given the reason. So what are you going to do about it? So as HR, now you come up with some few KPIs. So train all supervisors on team leadership. So now someone will say that all may not be quantitative, but if you look at all itself, all means 100%. So we're saying that we'll train all supervisors. So 100% of supervisors will be trained on team leadership. So we feel that that's a gap why they left at number 3. The reasons here, number 3, yeah, could be because of supervisor leadership issues. So when we train, then we also train all employees on compliance-related policies. Because of theft issues, we're saying that as HR, we're going to train our employees on compliance issues. Yeah. So meaning we will check our disciplinary procedure and all policies that are not related to compliance. Then conduct reference checks for all new joiners within 3 months of joining. So at least you're giving yourself some timeline in your initiatives. Because you have a metric, now you're giving yourself timelines. So we're saying that for everyone who is coming into a company, we must do ref check so that you don't bring in people who will be stealing. People that, if you're a manager, then you're not being someone who is not able to lead a team. Then ICT will review the features of the system to reduce theft cases. So the last 3 were focusing majorly on misconduct that came up, and the first one was on supervisor related. So you as an analyst, a mature HR in the field, you know very well that you cannot compete with companies to pay people. You will never compete with companies to pay. Even if you give me a pay, I want to leave today, you give me a counter offer, I will still leave in a year's time. So you can never compete people in terms of payment. So just pay as per your budget. And then now, next time, when someone leaves, just attract the best person. So what I could also have added here is maybe bring in a talent pool for the team that are leaving, so that because you can never compete on payment. Today, someone comes in the market, pay more, then someone leave, or someone is always paying better than you as a company. Just know that. Again, retrenchment happens once in a while, so it can't be one of our key areas to look at. So we focus on only 2 areas. So it only happens now. You're able to do a proper report when you have your metrics right. So if you got turnover rate wrongly, then you might say that we are okay. So if you did your turnover rate wrongly and you got 4%, why would you drill deeper into analyzing the same thing? Yeah. So we are drilling deeper because we are in red. Our target was 7%, and we're getting 14.7%, which is very low. So should you do wrong metrics, then you will never do correct analysis of what you are having in a scenario, because once you see a metric that is close to what you are looking for at, then you will not be able to do a proper analysis and or do a proper report. So if I were you doing my report, this is how I will do my report. Maybe second slide will be now, I want to explain about the 18. My third slide will be, I want to summarize now everything as a whole, if I were doing the full report on staff establishment changes. This is how I will do it. So maybe the next the next one I will do summarizing, in that I want to do now the retention rate. So how many were here that are still here in December? So I can still do some other 3 slides with only this one graph. I will come and now look at the confirmation rate of these 18 people. How many of them have been confirmed, and at what percentage, as my second slide. Then third slide, I will come and look at what is the retention rate for this team that I'm having. So I have 3 slides on staff establishment changes. Right. So now you also need to just focus on what does the company want to know? What does my CEO want to know? What are my objectives as the head of department or as the person in this role? As a HRBP, what are my key objectives that I need to achieve? Now, I'm having another good example here on leave liability. This one has become always an issue. Leave liability, how do we calculate leave liability? Yeah. How do we get leave liability? So again, it also become an issue of how do we calculate it. And the way you get leave liability is as simple, because it is just taking the number of days that the employee has times their daily salary, because the days are paid in days. So you can either use 30 days, or you can always use the working days in a month. So if you use 26, we need to ensure that you must ensure consistency in your calculations. So always ensure consistency in your calculations. That is what will really help you. So we'll also look at our app if it's also able to give us the leave liability on how it comes about. So if you're having leave liability, what does it mean? Now, most of us don't know that leave liability, there is under financial standards of reporting, IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards, there is how to report on leave. That's why your finance or CFO or finance man will be on your neck every end of the month that I need leave liability. Because leave, it's either on accrual basis, meaning you accrue first, then you take, or it's like you are given earlier. So some companies wait for you to go to accrue first and your leave first, the 21 days or 24 days or 30 days first, then go for them the next year. So like 2023, I'll first accrue my leave for this year, then next year I go for them. So in the finance books, now it goes like now as a real liability, because I already accrued them in the year 2023, then I'm utilizing them in 2024. Or in some companies, as the year goes by, you go for your leave. So what they want to look at, liability per month, meaning the changes in the leave numbers. So depending on how your finance manager or reporting person does the books, then you need to understand how do you actually accrue your leave days, on how are they calculated in the finance books. So if you get a leave liability of 964 and 978,000 leave liability, it just means that it's just telling us where are we. You can see that our target is about 400,000, but we are accruing leave of almost double our target. So in the books of accounts, you are already having more debts to pay to employees. It's now looking like a debt to be paid. So you were saying that you wanted to pay 400, but now you are paying 964. It will affect your bottom line, because it will be like now, mute the person. Okay, thanks. So if you're having leave liability, then it means that it will go as a liability, meaning it will also reduce your financial standings of the company, because it needs to be paid. So if the company was to close, how much will you be owing the employees? That is now why you need to look at leave liability, not just as a tool of just looking at people the way you look at them, but also as part of welfare or wellness. Then there's financial aspect of it. So you want to go deeper and understand why do we have 964, yet we are supposed to be at 400 or below. So we say that during the last 2021, there was a boom in the business, so we could not go for leave. Yeah, we have been having increased businesses. Number two, we lack leave plans for the departments. Number three, there is inadequate manpower, and every company you go to, every department that cannot manage their leave, they will say that we lack manpower to actually get us the leave. But again, you as HR, you sit down and say, okay, with this kind of leave, I predict that in Q1 2023, we can reduce it back to 500,000. That is my conclusion as HR, who has done his analysis properly. Saying that we are going to have 500,000 as the leave liability in Q1. So we're going to reduce it from where it is currently. Currently, we are at around 800 or 900,000. So we'll take it down 500,000. How we are going to do it? We are going to promote staff wellness through awareness of all of employees. So I think that we're going to tell employees, why should you go for leave? Then when they appreciate why they should go for leave, then they will demand for leave. Yeah. Then number two, we'll implement leave plans for all departments. It must be that all departments must bring in their leave plans for you. Then you need to implement workforce planning, the company-wide. So we're saying that now, do we need to bring in shift patterns? Do we need to say that before, when you see business going to rise, why can't you request for casuals? Why don't you plan properly? So you want to understand why are the branches, or why are departments not having proper workforce planning? So is it that they don't know how to plan for this workforce, or what is the issue? So are we understaffed? Can we check now our budget? So you can see that when you actually look at metrics in the strategic way, then actually you find out that there's more that you can say as HR, not just reporting numbers or just telling stories, but tell stories that have got value in them. So those are my two slides, just to pinpoint why you actually need to understand metrics properly, and which ones are strategic and which ones are just lagging. Lagging are like what you see here. 964, 978 is just a lagging metric, meaning something that's already happened. So a leave liability of 500,000 as a prediction, meaning you predict in future, becomes a strategic metric for the team. So that now you tell the finance that next year we will be at a better place when it comes to liability. It will increase shareholders' standing. So I want us to look into that. And if you get wrong calculations, you will never do proper analysis. And that's why we're saying that once you get your metrics, you already know which ones are actually strategic. Now, how will I make sure that I do proper metrics? And that is where the challenges comes in. How do I get calculations right? And that's why I came up with an application that actually is more of a calculator for you to just look into it and get your metrics done. So Jellican, I want to have a brief there. Log into the app, just take us through how we get into the app. Then from there, we'll actually be able to see now which metric do we have into the app that we can actually use to get our metrics correctly. And then now we can close the session. So if there are any questions, they can start coming in as now we transition now to the app and see how to use the app to get our metrics. It is a free app that we are using. So it's a good one for you, for every HR to have, so that you can actually do your metrics properly. So Jellican, allow me to.
Thank you, Nelson, for that elaborate discussion on various concepts, especially leave liability, predictive analytics, prescriptive, diagnostic. And now this leads us to the question that Damaris Ndungo has asked. Can somebody, leading indicators of strategic, okay, there's a question, can one just do diagnostics and head straight to prescription? That is a question by Damaris. Can you jump that one step?
You can never jump that one step because before you prescribe, you must predict. A good example is the doctor. they know very well that if you take this medicine, if you take 3 tablets, yeah, then you will collapse. So they'll say for you, you don't need to take 3, you need to take 1 times 3. So 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the evening. Because if you take 3 of them in the morning, then you will collapse. So that's why we need predictive analytics. That's why regression come in, correlation come in, machine learning come in, so that you don't overdose yourself with prescriptions that you cannot actually know the value. So prediction will show you the future. Then prescription is a way to the future that you've seen. Yes.
Very good. You've clearly said that there's no way out. If you want to be successful in your predictions or in analysis, you cannot jump any step, any sequence cannot be jumped. There's a question by Ted. What is the formula for calculating leave liability?
Yes, we are heading there.
Oh, okay.
We are heading there with the app. So for those of us who have got Play Store on Android, I'm very sorry for those of us who have got iPhone. We're still not hosting you in our in our app. So for those of us in Play Store, you can search for the app called HR Metrics and Analytics. So just allow me, Jelican, if you allow me, just engage the team.
Go ahead.
To get it. Let me just get that. Yeah.
As Nelson gets to the app, what have you picked? What are the main points that you've picked? Just say 1 or 2 things that you have picked from the 2 slides. Me, I've picked leave liability concepts, which affects the bottom line if it's not very well understood in terms of numbers. Somebody can say on the chat, as we wait for Nelson to get into the app, what have you picked? What main thing have you picked? Did you learn something about prescriptive? Did you learn something about diagnostic? Did you learn something about prescriptive, etc., etc.? You know, when you start speaking in numbers, those big guys start listening, that you're making sense. Mercy Chumo, same here. She's saying that leave liability is a new concept, that data should be the basis for making business decisions. Yes, that is what Gidenji Mbogwa has said. That is very important. It is the black gold. We say that data is the black gold. Leave liability, Brown, the neighbor at Runda. Diagnosis, Maombo. Diagnostics, that is the diagnosis, understanding the thing. Who else is saying? Nelson, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Just sharing my screen now for us to continue.
Data make your life easier. Actually, you're very correct, Raja, that once you understand how to maneuver and navigate with data, you are able to make your decisions faster. You're able to optimize resources, because as HR people, our work is to optimize resources, making sure that you squeeze the resources you have such that they give you more value for money. It is important to have metrics and analytics in business, because you will have a sit-in with the management. That is Simon Frank from TZ. I wish we could say this in Kiswahili, but I don't know how we are going to go around it. Nelson, you're there? We start? Yeah, let us continue. Nelson, you can alert me once you are ready with your screen. Mastery in analytics makes you a star in the boardroom. That is Damaris Ndungwa. Damaris Ndungwa is a learning and development expert and an OD specialist. That is organizational development specialist. So if you want issues of organizational change, organizational culture measurement, Damaris is your person. Then we have my friend Violet, who loves the business scorecard, strategic decisions that are driven by data. Okay. You are able to convince people with numbers, because nobody will argue with numbers. You can argue with interpretation, but you cannot argue with the presence of a number. So that is how we can use numbers to transform organizations. Nelson, are you there? Something else that we have learned, if you really, really want to convince people, use numbers. You know, opinions are very free. That is why even in law, we say that opinions are free, but facts are sacred. If you can be able to bring numbers, nobody will... Ni muhimu kuwa na ripoti yenye uchambuzi wa namba, maana unakusaidia kuwa mwenye mazungumzo na wawekezaji. Wawekezaji ni investors. At least I've been able to read that without stammering. My Swahili needs a holiday in your house, Simon Frank, so that I can learn. Wawekezaji, investors. What can't be measured can't be done. That is by Damaris. It certainly makes one useless. Because opinions, everybody, even Wanjiko, even Omondi, even Odhiambo, even Kamau have opinions. And opinions are not very expensive. They are free. They are free. They are just there. But when you come in with numbers, those are rare things to deal with. You can change people with numbers, with statistics. Yeah. Damaris amecheka kweli. Neither Hassan, HR is always qualitative. That is why we had hard time. So now things will get more objective. Kweli kabisa Hassan. Neither Hassan, wakati unatoa nambari. Yes, please.
Can hear me, right?
Yes, you are there. Your screen is starting to appear. That is very good.
Yeah, so it's appearing. It's now for my phone. So I'm saying now, if you search HR Metrics Analytics app, HR Metrics Analytics in your phone, it should always bring you the app, the first one there. That is our app.
Yes.
Yeah, so once we have it, then mine already installed, so I would not want to look into it here. So for those of us who have theirs, we'll have just changed the phone. So do we have it? Please confirm.
Yes, it is still opening. It has opened. It's opening, sorry. Inaendelea kufunguka. Sijui kama hizo ni Kiswahili sanifu.
I know James Karara already registered.
Yes. Peggy anasema ameipata. Oscar is saying, I'm just an immediate graduate of BCom HRM. I'm already enjoying the session, though not yet in the field, but I'm glad to keep myself equipped for the future. Mapema and your best.
Yeah, so yeah, welcome, Oscar. So you can see that just welcoming me there. So you'll see next updated. So if you get started, then you need to key in your email address and your password. So if you've not registered before, then you'll have to sign up. If you sign up, then you fill in your details. So I would want to fill my details here, where you can see. So if you already created your account, then you sign in. If you don't have account, you sign up, right? So I know my email address is snellyoguda11. So let me just share in, then we come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see.
So I'm also signing in from our end. I don't know. You can just confirm those of us also signing in.
Those who are chap, mute one device, please, to remove that because that is by Boniface. Martin, you're praising me for attempting to sound like I'm from Dodoma. Thank you. I take your compliment wholeheartedly. Janet Mashari, assigned. Peggy, waiting for next directions. Brian, your neighbor at Runda, signed in. Martin has signed in. Oscar is in. Caroline is in. Given Timbogo, Nikondani. Juma Mohammed signed in. Very good. At least we have like 10 people who are
Hata mimi niko ndani.
We have Bridget no, in. We have Perpetual Wainaina, my friend, signed in. We have Daniel in. We have Alex signed in. We have a lot of people in. The young one, the best one, most probably is in. So Nelson, we have like 10, 11 people who are in, so we can proceed.
Okay, yeah. So now you can see the app is a friendly one. It's a good one. We launched it last year. It has been used. Actually, people use it. I've been tracking those who use it, and currently we have like 1,000 of us in HR actually using it. So if you've never heard of this app, or never used it, then but the one amongst those who are this session were for, you can also use the app. So we have HR metrics analytics as the first part there. And then there's HR latest ebook. So we're looking at also bringing in ebooks here. And the first ebook that I brought in some ISO metrics here that are explained here. So you can also click on that and get the ebook. But for now, because of the metrics, so let us look into the metrics. So if you wanted any metric, on disciplinary, we have them here. These are metrics that you can actually use for disciplinary. So one example is time to close the case. I'm aware that some of the metrics are still not yet calculating as per they should be because of difficulties sometimes in the development, but majority of them are working. So if you wanted to look at stuff, HR, if you wanted to look at HR costs, so this is where we have leave liability. You can see the leave liability amount there. If you wanted to do leave liability amount, so if I earn 1,000, if I have a leave balance of 12 days, and my daily salary is 120,000, Mungu ni rehemu, so nipate hii pesa 100,000 per day. So what will be my leave liability? So if I say calculate, it will give me the amount. So you can take the average for the whole team. So in your company, what is the average leave balances that you have? Total leave balances that you have. So maybe in our company, we have 860 days unutilized. And if I do the average salary per day for every person, it is 2,500. So what will be the average leave liability for the whole company? It will be 2.15 million. So that's how easy it is. You don't need to struggle to get. So what you need to do is just to have your numbers, then you bring them here for the calculator to calculate them for you. So the formulas are done in the background for you. So you don't need to worry too much about the formulas. So if you wanted to check leave liability per employee, will also be almost the same thing, or as per the total liability, because here just look at the number of employees that you have and the leave amount that you have. So picking a metric that will make sense to your company. Again, metrics in various companies are not the same. So maybe your manager is concerned about cost of trainings than leave liability, or your CEO want to see leave days. It doesn't care about money. Yeah. So then you don't need to do the money bit, or the CEO want to see the CEO who is consuming your report want to see the days. Then your finance person who also you work with closely in the HR department wants with the amount. So you do your liability for amount for the CEO, another part for the days, you do it for the you do it for the CEO the other way around. So it is you to choose what do you want to do. When you go to health and safety, and this is where currently HR is taking another route. We are looking at now environmental and social governance, the sustainability part of it. Yeah. So we're looking at now how is accidents affecting our productivity? How do you explain that? So you want to come and check maybe cost of health per employee. So how much are you spending? So mean that you get your data from the insurance, then you do the calculations for yourself here. So you can also just key in the detail that you have, and then you see how much you are spending. But again, you want to check on the lost time injury. So how many days have gone into waste because of injuries? So you take sick offs, first aid hours, then hours paid when you bring in a casual to hold forth for Nelson, who was sick. So you get your number of hours. So those hours mean that they were lost productivity from that employee, or for the whole company, you lost the productivity. So you need to build once you know your metrics correctly, then you can always build a story towards it. Once you get your metrics correctly, that is my point. And I remember that at some point I used to be very happy with these metrics, and I could also get them wrongly at some point. So once you say that your calculation was wrong, then every story that you wrote about the metric becomes false. Nobody will trust your report when a single metric is wrong. Let me tell you that. If you go and say that we had 20 sick offs, yet there were 15 sick offs, then people start questioning themselves. If mathematics is this problem, the theory that is built on it is also a problem. So that's why we're saying that if you look at your metrics, then which ones would you consider strategic to your company, and then you use all of them. So I've seen that someone is asking about the definition. So definitions are why we are coming up with now the ebooks to help you. So like now, if you do maybe talent acquisition, so the rehire rate, so number of rehired employees, they might be 5. The exits within that year must have been, let's say, 32. So the rate is 15.63%. So within the app, we had a place here where we are saying, click here for insights. So our dream is that before this year ends, is that when you click for more insights, it will take you to these areas where you will now get the HR metrics now as an ebook. Then you can get interview questions, or you can get HR books. You can read more about whatever you've just done. So if we go general HR books, I don't think I have one here currently. We don't have. So we're looking at now bringing in more details in this aspect so that you can learn more. So now we have here the metrics book. So you can read now more about the isometrics. So I can start reading the book. So it will load for me the book there. So depending on how my internet is, so that now I can get more information about what I've just calculated about the rehire. So when I open the book, I'll now go to the rehire and read more about it, and then get my insights. So the app is there to help us. Let's say use it and build it. It's one of our own that we've developed by a HR professional. So you can bring in your feedback so that we can make it better for us to be continually using it. So Jellican, I want to stop here because when talking about numbers, I can always talk and talk and talk. So thank you for the people who have been listening all through. And I hope that what we've discussed here helps in even how you look into your reports and how you use your metrics to actually look into them. And I've been holding sessions with some few people during the end month. They just call, we go through their reports, and I support. Sometimes I support for free, sometimes I support for money, but most of it I always support for free, depending with how have you been relating with these metrics for us now to look into it. So I'll encourage that if you have any question, please do reach out for us to continually learn about these metrics. So I would wish to conclude there, and also just invite us to another event that's coming up next week. It is by the new school HR. I know some of them, some of us are not members of that group, but there's an event that's coming up, and it's also on HR analytics. So it will be additional knowledge to whatever we discussed today, just listen in to Dion. So Dion, I've interacted with Dion some time back in some projects that they were undertaking, and I was part of it. So I believe he'll be able to give us more details on analytics. I know Mudhoni Murithi also, she's also a good one. So it's good for us to come in and listen to this and also compare. I always attend these events so that I also get to learn more what I might also not have. Remember, when you're doing metrics, there are various ways people do them. So I want to see whether is there anything new. What do I need to learn? And Richard said that we always need to learn every day. So if you're learning every day, let's attend this event. And I'm sharing the link for us in the group, in the chat section, so that you can actually get to learn about, get to register for the event. So you're also welcome for the event to learn more about HR analytics. I will also be attending as a learner. So let's learn together. I know I've been training, but I'll also be attending this one as a learner. So Jellican, you can
Thank you very much, Nelson, for that edifying short crisp. And as Neptune has said, that was a wonderful presentation. Somebody is asking, and that is your Runda neighbor, can you download the data to Excel? Can you export the data? Just a yes or no, so that we can go to other questions. Can you be able to export the data from the app to Excel?
Currently, no.
Okay, all right.
But it's coming up soon.
Milcent, that is Rosemary, is appreciating the app. Dion is a great speaker. That is Colaro. Yeah, Dion is a very good speaker. Damaris, I know this is a culture change. This is a culture. What can you tell us about what do we need so that we can be able to have some culture change, so that we can be able to appreciate numbers? Damaris, you're an LD and OD, and what can you say to encourage us? Looks like Damaris has left. Frank Simon, tell us something from TZ about numbers. Briefly, like 30 minutes, 30 seconds. What wisdom do you have to tell us so that we can be able to be people who carry numbers to the boardroom to convince initiatives to be approved? Simon? Okay, well, it looks like James, anything that you have to tell us about today's presentation and something extra on how we should appreciate numbers?
Thank you, Coach. I hope I'm audible. And
yeah, very audible. Yeah.
Thank you, Nelson. That was a great presentation, and I really appreciate getting time to listen to what other people are thinking and how other people would like to create a story from the data that we have and the data that we keep. Mine is just to encourage us to be data driven, and always when you want to make a point across to the people in the C-suite, you must master your art. Somebody asked, is it a must that you do diagnostic and head straight to prescription? For me, I'd say no. Every step counts. For data to have meaning, for you to be able to create a story, you must go step by step. Why am I saying this? You may prescribe for what will not give you return on interest. So why prescribe before you, why skip one step and not be able to achieve? So let's keep the conversation going. Let us engage more. Let us share our ideas. Let us share our thoughts. And through that, then we can be the HR professionals who speak what can make a difference or can impact life through data. So thank you so much, Coach, and thank you so much, Nelson.
Georgette, Janet, what do you have to tell us about the love for numbers in convincing and persuading people?
What I can say is, as Nelson has said, when you start talking in numbers, things become very easy for you. We have a new MD who likes percentages very much. So when you're explaining something, you have to give it in comparison to something. So just don't give information as, January, February, March, and these are the numbers. So what am I going to do with those numbers? You need to have a way of, like joining the theory with the numbers, as Nelson has said, because at the end of the day, when your metrics are wrong or whatever you're using to describe something is wrong, then even what you're describing is just wrong because there's no weight to it. It doesn't have any material information.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Violet Onyango. Can we use numbers in the balance scorecard? I know you're a fan of balance scorecard. How can we use numbers to be able to properly articulate the essence of a balance scorecard? Okay, probably she's not there. Perpetual, anything that you can tell us, Perpetual and Aina?
I'll say can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'll say that when you're doing a balance scorecard, you usually have percentages when you're checking the actual achieved and when you're comparing to the target that was set beginning of the quarter. So it will give you the ratings and it will give you the percentage of the actual achieved vis-a-vis the target that was set. So it is important to have numbers because it helps also in decision making and helping the business in terms of realizing whether it's going to the right direction or the business needs to change or re-engineer to have new strategies, new processes, and also to change the way they are doing things. Yeah.
Good. Victor Otieno, you have something to say?
Just as Victor comes in, I've just shared a link to the HR Analytics webinar that will be taking place next week on 25th. So I've shared it on the chat section. So you can, if you're looking forward to it, then you can register and for you to attend.
All right, thank you, Victor. A link has been shared for the training, for Excel training. Victor, you have something to say?
Thank you, Coach. Concerning the training for today or
Today's training, something to encourage us to love numbers.
I think I would agree with the rest. Someone who mentioned that it's all about numbers to convince even the board and the management that HR is doing something. You just do one PowerPoint or do your analysis as it has been done by one of our own here. And the team is convinced. So it's up to us to up our game and stand out in our organizations. Thank you.
Good. Juma Mohammed, something for us? You have some wisdom to give us? Juma Mohammed? Okay.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can, Juma, we can.
Yeah, I've interacted with HR analytics for some time now. Way back in early 2000s when I used to sit in one of the board HR committees in my previous employment. And I can tell you for a fact that at that level, especially when it comes to policy and policy formulation, decision making, what works in the boardroom is numbers. So it's important. Well, I'll advise and encourage HR practitioners to familiarize themselves with HR analytics and what it means in driving the business as a whole.
All right, thank you very much. Diana Thimba, you have something to tell us about what you have enjoyed and what you have learned tonight?
Hi, Coach. I believe most, I've really enjoyed the session. Most of what has been said, I believe is important for the HR to stand out. And I agree that numbers matter in everything and in everything that we do in our reports, even in our daily conversations, even when we are having meetings. Numbers really matter in the HR, and it's up to us to make the HR department and the industry to as well stand out. Thank you for the session.
Thank you very much. And once you are here, try and market this product because it is one of our own. You can either use it or try and tell people that we have HR analytics app that has been created by our own Kenyan. So you have that responsibility as well. Mention it, brand it, so that we cannot keep on using applications from the outside world when we have very well done applications. Mercy Chumo, I'm sure you have something. Even if you don't have, you can create it right now. Mercy. Are you there, Mercy? Or you've left?